Hello there everybody, it's Andrew here with episode 6 of our Let's Play series of Transport Fever 2, and as we start out today we're sat on the hilltops overlooking the town of Morley. In the distance we can see the train station we put in for Morley, some of the train line that we laid, and the bridges with a train going over it just now. And I do believe that's one waiting just there. Yes, because as you remember, this section from the bridge over the little spit of land onto the Novel Bridge is all single track, so he's having to wait for clearance to move on. So that's two of our passenger trains running the passenger line between Coventry, Bridgewater and Morley. So let's just quickly bring up the user interface and see where we are, see how we're doing. So, in the last episode, we, as I said, we built the passenger station, but we also started supplying Morley with the raw materials it needs to grow. As you can see, the bus services in Morley are still very popular, in high demand, but we did add more vehicles onto those bus routes in the last episode. So, given time, they should start to pick up some of the passengers that are waiting and offset some of the overcrowding, especially at this station just here, where the people, I assume, are all heading on bus service to, which the next stop is the train station itself. So obviously the train station is proving very popular, and we have to hope that our buses can cope with demand. In fact, yes, we can see here, the problem we've got is we've got a lot of people waiting, but because this is one of the last stops that the buses hit on the number 2 line before the station, they're usually full before they get there, meaning that there can be no change in the amount of passengers waiting at this line. So in terms of what we're wanting to do today, we did talk about perhaps adding Stoke-on-Trent or Ripley into the passenger network. We've already connected Bridgewater a few episodes ago and that's doing okay. We haven't provided any of the raw materials yet, but that is something we'll get to later on. How are the lines doing that are supplying Morley? Let's have a look. So we have bricks with an annual throughput of 25. They're being transported by road over the river. And we have food, which is utilising shipping and a little delivery service from the port into the city itself. The shipping line isn't yet making any money for us, but I'm not sure if any of them have yet reached port. Ship number 7 hasn't. He's on the different line. Here's the other two. They haven't reached port either, so that explains why we're losing money on that line, because we haven't posted any profits yet. So, we're always going to struggle if we're not posting profits. So, what are we going to do next? Let's have a quick check of Coventry. The station is very busy, but we do have a train just arriving. However, even obviously it will be empty because it's the end of the line, so all passengers will depart. But we don't have enough space on the train for 50 people. So at some point we're going to have to consider adding extra carriages onto this service to ensure we can take as many people as we can, as quickly as we can. Likewise, the buses are busy. Metro Line 2 isn't as busy as Metro Line 1 at the moment. They both have 8 vehicles. I think it's worth adding an extra 2 to each Metro line, bringing both totals to 10. And that should start to get some of the passengers moved on quicker. The intercity bus line to Bridport is also very busy. We have several stagecoaches running this line already, 20 in fact. So I don't really want to add any more and oversaturate it. All we're going to have to do here is wait for new vehicles to unlock, which either operate faster and or with a larger capacity. So let's move on. I do think the next thing to do is to connect to, I will say, Stoke. Now the question is, do I come this way to Stoke or off this line down to Stoke? Now the obvious choice is to come this way, simply because we're already on this side of the water, so there's no bridging required, which is going to save some money in the long term and in the short term, not so much long term. However, this side we will have to bridge over, although we could do both and have a line that way and that way, have them meet around here and then go on into Stoke, where we'll have a passenger terminus station. In terms of goods, Stoke requires machines and goods. We have a goods factory here. We have machines here. We did discuss this last time. We could get the lumber in quite easily. There's also a logging camp which we can supply the raw logs into this sawmill, no problem, and then have them driven over by horse and cart. And we also need steel. Now we have a forge here with plenty of iron nearby, and there's also, coal, plenty of coal nearby, and there's also a few iron ore deposits nearby as well. And looking at the distances here, this will be shipped by train, whereas the coal, for the time being, could probably be done purely by road vehicles. So I do think that's the way ahead. We'll first of all, we'll prepare Stoke by firing up this steel mill just outside of Ripley. This iron ore mine looks like the best one to use. I've got the game paused, sorry about that. Yes, looks like the best one to use because we do have a train line that skirts around already. However, depending how steep this incline is, looks pretty steep. I was going to say we could run up here and have it here, because I don't want any overcrowding here, or I want to limit the overcrowding as much as I can. So there's a decision to make. Is there anywhere to the north of this iron mine? There is a steel mill there, but we could supply it from these two iron ore mines. The reason I'm checking that is because I think we'll go for a terminus cargo station here. That's assuming that's the plan, which I think I'm gonna go with this idea. It's only got one destination, so we only need one platform for this station at the moment. We might need more in the future, but I don't think we will. So if we just have, is that a bit too close to get on and off this line nicely? Okay, let's just plan this for a second. So if we have our station here, the track could sweep out to be quite a tight curve, but that shouldn't be too much of an issue because the trains will be either slowing down to enter the station, or they'd only just have left the station, so they won't be at full speed yet anyway by the time they come around this bend. And then if we connect into here and then immediately branch off, so we'll just basically touch and off, we could run this way. We could have a station here to supply, if we wanted to bring coal in via the train, and they could share a line through this little valley here and then down into the steel mill just there. I think that's probably the way to go. So let's make a start on that. Let's first of all put our train station down. Around about there should do. We'll rename him from Coventry East to Coventry Iron Ore Mine, just so we know when we're looking at the line manager and setting up the route what station it is we're actually talking about. We'll obviously need a road connection. That's not quite straight. That's better. Keep it on the flat level. Okay, perhaps not quite like that though. Nor like that. If we can get it as straight as possible. It appears we cannot. Perhaps if we just quickly do a spot of terraforming and just smooth the area off, That might make the road a little better. In fact, can we just flatten it? That'd be the wiser choice, I think. There we go. Let's try that now. That's better. We don't have any of those ridiculous mini cliffs, is the best way I could describe them. They're just a small cliff. This sort of thing here. Right, you no longer have to keep level, so how can we make this look somewhat normal, so to speak? Can we go like that? Yes. Run along the outside edge there and then connect into that road. So that will have a connection to the iron mine, and that, yes it does reach the new cargo station that we've just put down. So let's go ahead and start the track laying process. So as I said, doesn't matter too much about the speed because they're not going to be running at full kilt just here. And then if we connect him onto the existing line with a nice smooth flat level junction like that, just wait for this train to pass, one of the tool delivery trains that's heading up to Bridport. I mean, there is a little shimmy there, but I can live with that. We could always change it later, so we'll accept that. Get the second track laid in here. Now, because we're likely to be having at least 2 trains on this little run, on this iron ore run, I want them to be able to wait away from the main line, like that, just so the trains aren't holding up anything on that's trying to pass down here. Instead they can rack up in here like that. That should work just fine. Again, we want these to have the right of way that are passing up and down here, so we'll hold these trains here, but we'll not hold anything here. These will have clearance. We probably... no, we'll leave that signal in. I was thinking it might be a bit short, but it shouldn't cause a problem. We can always change it later on if it does. And what we want to do now is take a line off this direction. Again, I'm not overly concerned by the speed on this corner. Can we just raise it up a... no. Let's keep it flat level, that should be okay. Doesn't look too bad. And then... okay, that's not going to like that because that signal is there. So if we delete that signal and then put the starts of the junction, the branch line, in position, we can then put the signal down. And I say we put it just... we'll put him just there. We'll need one there for the iron ore trains. That one is okay. And then we want, or we will want, a signal on this line, on this track rather. That's a little short. If I can ever build the track, there we go. To ensure that the iron ore trains, as they're heading this way, are not blocking or they're not overhanging this junction and holding up any trains that are trying to pass down here. So that's looking good so far. So then if we continue this way, we'll keep in mind the possibility of having another branch point here, or perhaps round this way to serve a station for the coal mine, because that could be a possibility, and it's a logical one given that we have this access line now running this way. And we'll take him, as we said, gently through this little valley between these two mountains. Obviously we want to try and avoid any major... ooh, that's a bit square. Any major inclines. Just to verify, let's see what height we are at. So the point of the track is at 12 meters and the forge is at almost sea level, 2.8 meters. So we need to head down. So we'll keep it level. We don't want him to raise any higher to have to come back down later. Let's just see which way. Yes, it's gonna shimmy a little bit. It's better than having any unnecessary tunneling with this little hill that just extends outwards there. Okay, that's looking fine. So next, what we want is a cargo train station here. We'll put him about there. This is not Ripley, this will be Ripley Steel Mill. And again, we need to sort out a little road connection for this. And again, if we can keep it, yep, that's a nice level road without any mini cliffs. And then can we, yes, onto there, and then onto the main road. There we go. And I think that should connect. Yes, it does. Let's finish the track. This should have been dual platform, but we can modify that at the end. That's not a problem. So we want to make sure he's on the outer of the two tracks. Like that. And like that. And then if we quickly drop here, go to configure, add a second track along there and a platform down this side. In fact, we are going to need 3 tracks and platforms here. So we're going to need a track down here as well, because we're going to be dropping off coal, dropping off iron. So that's 2 inputs, and 1 output, the steel, which is going to head off to the machines factory down the way. But we don't need that immediately, so we can leave it as it is for now and just sort that out a little bit later. Now we need a diamond slip. That should do us perfect. Let's get our signals set up, just so we know the direction of travel. Another set, perhaps just in this little cut-in. As it stands, or as it's, you know, the first part of its life, there's only going to be 2 trains maximum running this line, so we don't need to go overboard with the blocking, but we can make a start. There we go, that should do quite nicely. That should be good to go. So if we now set a line up for this, from Coventry Iron Ore Mine to Ripley Steel Mill, yep, that works fine. Full load, you're only taking iron and you're unloading iron and doing nothing else. Let's colour him a nice orange colour. That's roughly the same colour as the icon for iron. Can our train reach this from the depot? It can, but it would have to go in and out of there, and I don't know if the AI will be able to figure that out. So what we'll do, we'll give him a helping hand, and once this lumber train has cleared this corner, we'll take a straight track off there and connect it somewhere into here, like this. Not like that, because that's ugly. Like that. And then we can turn that to a double slip switch, and this can be a multi-directional line, but the only time it should be used is when the trains are heading from the depot to join the line. So now we can sort ourselves out with a train. We have, yes, this is the newest train. We have the Class GV, so we'll use him. In terms of wagons, we need gondolas, which is the best one to use. That's got a capacity of 7, 7, or they're both the same weight, so it makes no difference. So we'll go for the smaller one, because why not? Again, I'm using the wrong thing there. I want to do that. That's 4, 8, that's 10, that's 12. That's going to cost us 3.1 million. We can double him up later, or duplicate him later, I should say. Give him a name, that's iron ore. And that's going from Coventry to Ripley. There we go. We'll put him on the line. Line 1, we need to change the line name. We'll do that in a second. There we go. First of all, we'll colour him orange, open the line, rename it Iron Ore Freight. Coventry to Ripley. And he should be good to go. Let it auto save there. Just to point out, if you're noticing a few little jump cuts, or several little jump cuts in the videos, that's simply because I'm suffering from a dose of man flu, and I'm constantly having to either blow my nose, which we don't want to hear on camera, or I have to cough. And again, don't want that bursting eardrums when you're listening to the video, so I'm having to edit all of that out in post-production. So if you have noticed that, that's the reason why, and I can only apologise for that. So we've started one of the good shipments into Ripley's steel mill. I think we should immediately go ahead and connect this coal mine in as well, and all the trains, the coal and iron trains, can share the same line in and out of the steel mill. Whether we can afford it right now is a different matter, but we can at least try. Again, is there anywhere else? No. There is a steel mill here, but we have coal nearby. Likewise here, we have coal nearby. So we only need one platform. And we'll put in just there. It's called it Bridgewater. It must have just gone over the border between Coventry and Bridgewater, so we'll just rename it Coventry Coal Mine. Connect the road like so, and then start the track like so. Immediately we want to branch off with our second line. We just keep him level, although I think he's above the level of these tracks. No, if anything, he's a little low. Let's see how that looks. Awful. That's better. And then we put in the next line like that. So we'll have a signal here. We want one here. So any coal mine that's waiting to be loaded, so a coal train, waits here rather than on this stretch of track. That signal there can be used as a clearing signal for trains heading onto the line, so that's okay. And we don't want a signal here because, once again, I'd rather the trains wait as they leave this station rather than these having to slow down and stop while this one makes his way off. So that should be good for that. So let's get that line set up. So that's from Coventry Coal Mine, fully loaded with coal only. Want it coloured black. And you're going into there, into the other platform. Yes, you've decided that automatically, which is helpful. And this is coal freight. Coventry to Ripley. We won't be able to afford to run a train on this just yet. We'll have to wait a little while for the funds to accumulate to buy the train, but that's no problem. Our iron train is making his way. He should use a slip switch there. Yes, he does. That's wonderful. We just get a little view of him as he comes past. Let's just turn the UI off for a second. There we go. That looks very nice indeed. And you can see just from the colour scheme what he's doing. Orange is iron. And off he goes. Bring the UI back up. So he'll now go and pick up a full load. He's already got more than enough there to top himself up. He carries 84, so plenty of space. Again, just wait for the autosave to save. Right. These trains definitely need to be extended. Can we afford it? Let's have a look. Passenger wagons. Is this passenger car? It costs 400,000 a piece, so we could at least do 3 of them. Possibly 4, just about. And that increases their capacity to 56, I believe it was, yes. Still wouldn't have been enough to clear the platform, but it's better than nothing. It's an extra 14 people on board, each paying X hundreds or thousands of pounds for the ticket. In fact, what is the balance of that line now? Well, that's making 500,000, that's beautiful. How are the other stations doing? That's not too busy. We've got 13 heading to Morley. Obviously they can't get on that train unless some of these are gonna disembark in Bridgewater. And over here, looking good in Morley as well. So everything's looking good here in Morley as well.